Spain was once the leader of the world. In the 1500s, it wasn't England ruling the world, it was Spain. For the first time in history, a single crown ruled a vast empire, stretching from Europe to Africa, from the Americas to Asia. They were so powerful that people said, the sun never sets on the Spanish Empire. But here's the ironic part. The richest empire the world had ever seen eventually collapsed under the weight of its own treasure. And this isn't just some old story. Because even today, just like Spain, many of us still mistake sudden wealth for true prosperity. And when that bubble bursts, the result is always disastrous. In 1492, when Spain set foot in the New World, it found what seemed like an endless fortune. Gold and silver poured in at such scale that no European kingdom could have even imagined it. In 1521, they conquered Mexico, and then Peru, gaining control of massive mines like Potosi, a mine so large that people called it the mountain that eats men. For centuries, treasure fleets crossed the Atlantic carrying tons of gold and silver. Around 180,000 tons of silver and 2,000 tons of gold. That's more silver than all of Europe had produced in the previous 1,000 years. This wealth didn't just shape Europe, it reshaped the entire world. Spanish ships carried silver from Seville to the Mediterranean, from Europe to Asia. That trade network created the world's first truly global economy. With Spain at its center, at that time the English were struggling to survive in the swamps of Jamestown. But in Mexico City, there were universities, printing presses, and cathedrals. Spain wasn't just ahead. It was building a world order while its rivals hadn't even started their journey. But within all this splendor lay a fatal flaw. Spain believed that treasure was the same as wealth. The silver was real, but what they did with it weakened their power. Prices exploded. Inflation went crazy. Spain was sitting on mountains of silver, yet its people couldn't even afford bread. Here's the truth. Money only has value when it's scarce and trusted. Too much of it destroys its own worth. Think about it. Your town has one baker, and suddenly everyone has 10 times more money. The bread is still the same, but now it costs more. That's exactly what happened to Spain. Economists call it the price revolution. The first great wave of global inflation in history. And as always, the first to win were the rich, nobles, bankers, merchants. They made money before prices adjusted. But ordinary people with fixed wages, they just grew poorer. The more silver Spain brought in, the poorer its people became. And instead of investing all that wealth into production, they spent it on luxury. Italian, Dutch, and German merchants sold goods to Spain and grew rich. Meanwhile, Spain's own industries began to disappear. In the end, they stopped producing and became pure consumers. And of course, there were the endless wars. Spain's kings saw themselves as the protectors of Catholicism, and that belief came with an unbelievable price tag. Silver from the New World funded wars against the Ottoman Empire, the suppression of Dutch revolts, and the infamous Spanish Armada sent to conquer England in 1588. But when the Armada sank, it wasn't just ships that were lost. The empire's economy went down with them. At that point, Spain wasn't just spending what it had. It was mortgaging its future. They borrowed money based on treasures that hadn't even arrived yet, and every fleet that was delayed, sunk, or captured by pirates meant another default. In just 50 years, they declared bankruptcy 4 times, 1557, 1575, 1596, and 1607, and then came the pirates. But these weren't just sea bandits. They were soldiers in an economic war. England and the Netherlands had figured something out. If you take down the treasure ships, you don't just steal gold. You strike at the empire's economy itself. With Queen Elizabeth's support, Francis Drake brought home treasure worth half of England's annual income. In 1628, Dutch privateer Piet Hein captured an entire Spanish treasure fleet off the coast of Cuba, worth 11 million guilders. That single strike nearly destroyed Spain's financial system. And every time a fleet went down, it wasn't just ships that sank. The whole economy collapsed, because Spain had tied its wealth entirely to those ships. Meanwhile, England and the Netherlands used the silver they captured wisely. They invested it in banks, navies, and trade companies. Spain, on the other hand, kept making the same mistake, spending instead of building. By the early 1600s, the empire that still looked enormous on maps was already crumbling from within. Inflation eroded savings, industries vanished, and the people were crushed under heavy taxes. The empire that once ruled the world was now suffocating under the weight of its own fortune. But its rivals learned from that collapse. Britain and the Netherlands realized something.